Hello everyone. Today I would like to talk about education in the 21st century and explore the essential role that communication plays in shaping how we learn, teach, and live together. The 21st century is often described as an age of transformation, technological, social, and intellectual. Yet, despite rapid progress, education continues to reflect deep inequalities, unanswered questions, and new expectations. To understand education today, we need to ask not only what and how we learn, but also why and for whom education exists. In this lecture, I will explore several key questions. 1. What does education mean in the 21st century, and how has it evolved beyond traditional schooling? Second, how have economic and social changes shaped educational outcomes and opportunities? Third, what are the main purposes of education, social, political, economic, and personal? 4. What is the relationship between education and communication, and why is communication central to all forms of learning? 5. How do constructivist theories from Dewey to Vygotsky help us understand learning as an active and communicative process? 6. How have digital technologies transformed communication in education, and what challenges and opportunities do they bring? 7. Finally, why is lifelong learning essential in the 21st century, and how does communication make it possible? By discussing these questions, I hope to show that education is not simply a means to an end, but a communicative process that builds meaning, identity, and connection between individuals and societies. Let us begin with the broader context. The failures of neoliberalism have shown that education is not an automatic pathway to success. According to Conchal, Milani, and Evans in 2020, the neoliberal assumption that higher education would guarantee higher wages has not been fully realized. They identify several key reasons for this gap. 1. The quality of education one receives is strongly influenced by parental background and early development. 2. Inequality in socio-economic status prevents people from solving collective problems and limits opportunities for self-improvement. 3. Poverty reduction, in reality, depends on governmental policy rather than on individual educational effort. 4. Finally, organizations, not individuals, largely determine wages, regardless of skill or qualification. So, education cannot be separated from the structures that surround it. While it empowers individuals, it also reflects the inequalities of the societies in which it operates. This recognition has important implications for communication. When we talk about educational reform or lifelong learning, we are also talking about how societies communicate values, opportunities, and expectations. Education is not only an individual process, it is a form of collective communication between governments and citizens, between teachers and students, and between generations. What then is education? As Matheson reminds us, education is complex, contested, intentional, and continuous. It cannot be reduced to schooling alone. It includes formal, informal, and lifelong learning. Biesta argues that knowledge is not simply transmitted, it is constructed through participation in social life. We come to know not only by reading or listening, but by communicating, acting, and reflecting together. Communication has therefore become both the medium and the message of modern education. John Dewey, in his 1925 writings, emphasized that communication is not just the transportation of information from one mind to another, rather it is a process of cooperation in shared activity. For Dewey, education happens when people act together, when teachers and students become partners in inquiry, discovery, and creation. This idea remains deeply relevant today. Whether in a traditional classroom or an online learning environment, meaningful education depends on effective communication. It is through dialogue, questioning, and interaction that students develop critical thinking and reflective understanding. Moreover, communication builds the social space of education, the classroom community. When students express ideas, listen to others, and negotiate meanings, they are not just learning content, they are learning how to live and think together. This aligns with Vygotsky's concept of social constructivism, that cognitive development emerges through social interaction and language. Language, in this sense, is not only a tool for expressing thought, it creates thought. Piaget's cognitive constructivism also contributes to this understanding. He argued that learners actively construct their own understanding by interacting with their environment. Communication provides the bridge between individual reflection and collective knowledge. Together, these theories suggest that communication is not an accessory to education, it is its essence. Now let us consider the purposes of education. Matheson describes education as having social, political, and economic functions. Socially, education helps transmit values, beliefs, and cultural traditions. Through communication in language, stories, and shared practices, societies reproduce and renew themselves. Politically, education is shaped by power relations. Governments design curricula, accredit institutions, and control standards. This means that education is also a form of public communication, where a nation expresses its vision of what it means to be a citizen. Economically, education aims to develop skills for employment and innovation. Communication skills, speaking, writing, collaborating, are now considered among the most valuable competencies in the global labor market. However, Biesta proposes a deeper purpose, subjectification, becoming an individual. Through education, a person develops a sense of self, agency, and responsibility. In this sense, communication is both the process and the goal of education. We educate not only to learn about the world, but to learn to communicate within it, ethically, critically, and creatively. In the 21st century, communication in education has been transformed by digital media. According to Kasimova et al.'s study in 2025, that online learning platforms, video lectures, and interactive technologies have expanded access, but also created new challenges. Teachers must now communicate not only in physical classrooms, but across virtual spaces. Students learn to interpret information from diverse sources, requiring strong digital literacy. Yet, technology cannot replace the human dimension of communication, empathy, dialogue, and connection. As Biesta warns, education is not merely about efficient information delivery. It is about formation, the cultivation of meaning and identity. Education, as Biesta suggests, is infinite. It extends beyond classrooms, beyond degrees, into every moment of life. Learning is part of our biological and neurological makeup, a process linked to survival, adaptation, and growth. He outlines several stages. 1. Learning begins as a means of survival. 2. It continues as a lifelong necessity. 3. It becomes a social requirement. People are expected to keep learning to stay normal. 4. And eventually, learning itself should serve us, rather than us endlessly serving the process of learning. What enables lifelong learning is communication. We learn continuously through interaction, through language, media, dialogue, and community participation. To conclude, education in the 21st century is shaped by global forces, economic pressures, and technological innovation. Yet, at its heart, it remains a deeply human process, one grounded in communication, cooperation, and creativity. Education enables individuals to construct knowledge, develop values, and become active participants in society. Communication makes this possible and connects teachers and students, individuals, and communities. As we move further into the 21st century, our challenge is to ensure that education remains not just efficient, but meaningful, that communication in education fosters understanding, inclusion, and the full development of human potential. Thank you very much for your attention and interest. Here are some references for your further reading, where you can explore the topic in more depth. I hope they will help you continue reflecting on the ideas we discussed today.